All right, morning everybody, good to be with you today. Today we dive into Iliad book 13, battling for the ships. But once Zeus had driven Hector and Hector's Trojans hard against the ships, he left both armies there, milling among the hulls to bear the brunt and wrenching work of war, no end in sight, while Zeus himself with shining eyes turned north, gazed a world away to the land of Thracian horsemen, the Mysian fighters hand-to-hand in the lordly Hippomolgi, who drink the milk of mares, and the Abii, the most decent men alive. But not a moment more would he turn his shining eyes to Troy. Zeus never dreamed in his heart a single deathless god would go to war for Troy's or Achaea's forces now. Why does he think that none of the gods are going to get involved in the war? He said not to, because I said so. You know, what daddy says goes. So he thinks, well, I told them they wouldn't dare defy me, so I'm free to go on vacation. That's essentially what is happening here. Zeus has gone on vacation. But the mighty god of earthquakes, who is Poseidon, was not blind. He kept his watch, enthralled by the rush of battle. Aloft the summit of timbered Samos facing Thrace. From there, the entire Ida mountain ridge swung clear in view. The city of Priam clear. What's the city of Priam?
Troy.
Yes, Troy. He's a King Troy. The city of Priam clear and the warships of Achaea. Climbing out of the breakers, there Poseidon sat and pitied the Argives beaten down by Trojan troops, and his churning outrage rose against the Father. Remember, the Father is not his father. The father is his younger brother. Much like me, Poseidon's younger brother is the boss. And so Poseidon sometimes gets grumpy about that. This also illustrates, so Poseidon is looking at the Trojans having a good day defeating a bunch of Greeks, and all of a sudden he's like, no. I gotta help the Greeks out now. He's mad at the Greeks. He's mad at the Greeks for building the wall 5 seconds ago. Now he's just switched sides, and he will switch sides over and over and over and over again. This illustrates one of the character traits that's most commonly associated with the Greek gods, which is caprice. Anyone know what caprice is, or what a capricious person is? It's a person who's unpredictable. Person who's unpredictable and does, especially when they're in power, and does stuff just because. If Isabel's playing on her phone in my class, am I gonna go, hey, come on, put that away? Or am I gonna go, don't you ever let me see you do that again? Because I can be capricious based on my mood. Sometimes I let my mood pull the puppet strings more than I ought to. All the gods are like that. None more so than Poseidon for his which asides back and forth. 5 seconds. Suddenly down from the mountain's rocky crags, Poseidon stormed with giant lightning strides, and the looming peaks and tall timber quaked beneath his immortal feet as the sea lord surged on. 3 great strides he took. On the 4th, he reached his goal. He just covered hundreds of miles in 3 steps. So the Greeks imagine their gods when they're in their true form to be massive, massive beings. Reached his goal, a G-port where his famous halls are built in the green depths, the shimmering golden halls of the god that stand forever. Down Poseidon dove and yoked his bronze-hoofed horses onto his battle car. His pair that raced the wind with their golden manes streaming on behind them, and strapping the golden armor round his body, seized his whip that coils lithe in gold, and boarded his chariot, launching up and out, skimming the waves, and over the swells they came, dolphins leaving their lairs to sport across his wake, leaping left and right. Well they knew their lord. And the sea heaved in joy, cleaving a path for him, and the team flew on in a blurring burst of speed. The bronze axle under the war car never flecked with foam, the stallions vaulting, speeding Poseidon toward Achaea's fleet. There is a vast cave down in the dark-sounding depths, mid-sea between Tenedos and Imbros' rugged cliffs. Here the god of the earthquakes drove his horses down. He set them free of the yoke and flung them before King Ambrosia. Anyone know what ambrosia is?
Doesn't it it can turn more into something?
It can, and it's the normal food of the gods. I mean, no one knows what it actually is, if there was ever actually a specific recipe in mind, but it's what the gods eat. And if the gods give you some of it, you can become immortal too. Poseidon's not giving it to you, though. He's feeding it to his horses. Fodder for them to graze. Round their hoofs he looped the golden hobbles, never broken, never slipped, so there they'd stand, stock still on the spot to wait their lord's return. And off Poseidon strode to Achaea's vast encampment. But the Trojans swarmed like flame, like a whirlwind following Hector, son of Priam, blazing on non-stop, their war cries shattering, crying as one man, their hopes soaring to take the Argive ships and slaughter all their best against the hulls. But the ocean king who grips and shakes the earth, rising up from the offshore swell, urged the Argives, taking the build and tireless voice of Calchas. So remember, the gods are all shapeshifters, so Poseidon has joined the Greeks, but he is in disguise as Calchas. And remember who Calchas is? He's the seer, the prophet, the Greek prophet, the one who told Agamemnon he'd have to sacrifice Iphigenia back in the day. First the god commanded the great and little Ajax, hungry for war, as both men were already.
Ajax, Ajax, both of you, fight to save the Achaean armies. Call up your courage, no cringing panic now. At other points on the line, I have no fear of the Trojans' hands. Invincible as they seem, troops who had stormed our massive wall in force, our men at arms will hold them at bay. But here I fear the worst. I dread a breakthrough. Here this firebrand, rabid Hector leads the charge, claiming to be the son of high and mighty Zeus. But the two of you, if only a god could make you stand fast yourself, tense with all your power, and command the rest of your men to stand fast too. Then you could hurl him back from the deep sea ships, hard as he hurls against you, even if Zeus himself impels the madman on.
In the same breath, the god who shakes the mainland struck both men with his staff and filled their hearts with strength and striking force, put spring in their limbs, their feet, and fighting hands. Then off he sped himself with the speed of a darting hawk that, soaring up from a sheer rock face, hovering high, swoops at the plain to harry larks and swallows. So the lord of the earthquakes sped away from both. First of the two to know the god was rapid Ajax, Oileus' son, alerted Telamon's son at once. Oileus' son is little bitty Ajax. So little bitty Ajax, it's your turn to speak. Oh, that's you, Spence. You want me to just do it, or you got it?
Part.
Ajax, since one of the gods who hold Olympus, a god in a prophet's shape, spurs us on to fight beside the ships, and I tell you he's not Calchas, seer of the gods who scans the flight of birds. The tracks in his wake, his stride as he sped away, I know him at once with ease, no mistaking the gods. And now what's more, I should be doing like a Mickey Mouse voice for a little bit of AJ. And now what's more, the courage inside my chest is fast racing for action, full frontal assault, feet quiver beneath me, hands high for the onset. And Telamonian Ajax joined him, calling out, Big Ajax.
I can feel it now too. Now, the hands on my spear, invincible hands quivering tense for battle. Look, the power rising within me, feet beneath me, rushing me on. I even long to meet this Hector in single combat, blaze as he does, nonstop for bloody war.
All right, high five! But this is a joke. Little bitty Ajax is just a regular sized dude. He's only little compared to great big Ajax, but I could not resist. Make him, I don't know what we call him anymore. So make him little. Let's turn to line 163. Trojans poured down on them, tight formations led by Hector, careering breakneck on, like a deadly rolling boulder torn from a rock face. A river swollen with snow has wrenched it from its socket, immense floods breaking the banks grip, and the reckless boulder bounding high, flying with timber rumbling under it. Nothing can stop it now, hurtling on undaunted, down, down till it hits the level plain, and then it rolls no more for all its wild rush. So Hector threatened at first to rampage through the Argive ships and shelters and reach the sea with a single sudden charge, killing all the way. But once he crashed against those dense battalions, dead in his tracks he stopped, crushed up against them. Sons of Achaea faced him now, stabbing away with swords, with two-edged spears, hoisting him off their lines. And he gave ground, staggering, reeling, shouting out to his troops with shrill cries.
Trojans, Lycians, Dardan skirmishers, hand to hand, stand by me here. They could not hold me off any longer. These Achaeans, not even massed like a wall against me here, they'll crumble under my spear. Well, I know, it's the best of the morals really drives me on. Herod's Lord whose thunder drums the sky.
So he shouted, lashing the rage and fighting fury in every Trojan. And breaking out of the ranks, Deiphobus stood. The son of Priam fired for feats of arms there, thrusting his balanced round buckler before him, step by springy step on the balls of his feet, pressing forward under his shield. But Meriones taking aim at Deiphobus, so Meriones is an Achaean warrior, Deiphobus is one of the 50 sons of Priam. But Meriones taking aim at Deiphobus, hurled his flashing spear and struck, no miss, right in the bull's-hide boss. But the spear did not ram through, far from it. The long shaft snapped at the spearhead socket. The Trojan thrust his shield at arm's length, shrinking before the expert marksman's lance. But now Meriones pulled back to his cohorts, stung with rage for two defeats at once, victory shattered, spear shafts smashed to bits. He went on the run to Achaea's ships and shelters, out for the heavy lance he'd left aslant his hunt. The rest fought on with deafening war cries rising. Teucer was the first to kill his man. Teucer is an illegitimate son of Telamon, so he's a half-brother of Ajax and an Achaean warrior. Teucer was the first to kill his man, a son of Mentor, breeder of stallions. The rugged spearman Imbrius, he had lived in Pedaeon before the Argives came, and wed a bastard daughter of Priam, Medesicaste. But once the rolling ships of Achaea swept ashore, home he came to Troy. All right, we're talking about this guy's wedding day. What's going to happen to him? Yeah. But home he came to Troy, where he shone among the Trojans, living close to Priam, who prized him like his sons. Under his ear, the son of Telamon stabbed with a heavy lance, wrenched the weapon out, and down he went like a tall ash on a landmark mountain ridge that glistens far and wide, chopped down by an axe that leaves running with sap, strewn across the earth. So Imbrius fell, the fine bronze armor clashing against him hard. Teucer charged forward, mad to strip that gear, but as Teucer charged, Hector flung his lance, a glint of bronze. But the Argives saw it coming, dodged to the side, and it missed him by an inch. It hit Amphimachus, Cataetus' son, and Actor's heir. The shaft slashed his chest as he ran toward the front, and down he went, thundering, armor clanging around him. And Hector rushed to tear the helmet off his head. Head is the word I'm struggling with of all these names. And Hector rushed to tear the helmet off his head. Snug on Amphimachus' brows, the gallant soldier. Hector rushing in, and Ajax lunged with a spear, yet the burnished weapon could not pierce his skin. Hector's whole body was cased in tremendous bronze. But Ajax did stab home at the shield's jutting bulge, beating Hector back with enormous driving force, and he gave ground back and away from both corpses, as Argives hauled them from the fighting by the heels. The captains of Athens, Sticius, staunch Menestheus, so these are all Achaeans, bore Amphimachus back to Achaea's waiting lines. But the two Aeantes, that's a term that means both Ajaxes together, or excuse me, I guess I should say both Ajaxes together are the Aeantes. But the two Aeantes, blazing in battle fury, saw to Imbrius now, as two lions seizing a goat from under the guard of circling rip-toothed hounds, lugging the carcass on through dense battered brush, hoisting it up from the earth in their big grinding jaws. So the rampaging, cresting Aeantes, great big Ajax, and little bitty Ajax, hoisted him hoisted Imbrius high, stripping his gear in mid-air, and the little Ajax, raging over Amphimachus' death, lopped the head from his corpse. He's just got to saw and saw and saw. He's just a little dude. Lopped the head from the corpse's limp neck, and with one good heave sent it spinning into the milling fighters like a ball, right at the feet of Hector, tumbling in the dust. And then the heart of Poseidon quaked with anger. His own grandson, his own grandson brought down in the bloody charge. He surged along the Achaean ships and shelters, spurring Argives, piling griefs on Trojans. The famous spearman Idomeneus crossed his path. He'd come from a friend who just emerged from battle, gashed in the back of the kneecap, gouged by whetted bronze. That soldier the comrades carried off, but Idomeneus, giving the healers orders, made for his own tent, though he still yearned for action face to face. And the god of earthquakes only fueled his fire, taking the voice of Thoas, son of an Andremaeon, king over all Pleuron, craggy Calydon too, and Aetolian men he ruled, revered him like a god. So it's that guy. Idomeneus,
Idomeneus, captain of Ceratans, under arms. Where have the threats all gone? That sons of Achaea leveled at these Trojans.
The Cretan captain Idomeneus answered, Thoas, no man's to blame now, so far as I can tell. Every one of us knows the ropes in war. No one here is in the grip of bloodless fear, collapsing in cowardice, ducking the grim assault. No, this is the pleasure of Zeus, overweening Zeus, it seems, to kill the Achaeans here. Our memory blotted out a world away from Argos. But you, Thoas, you who are always rock steady in battle, embrace the ones you saw go slack and flinch. Don't quit now, Thoas. Urge each man you find. The god of earthquakes answered back,
Idomeneus, may that man, that coward, never get home from Troy. Let him linger here, ripping sport for the dogs. Whoever shirks the fight while this day lasts. Quick, take up your gear, and off we go, shoulder to shoulder, swing to the work. We must just two as we are, if we hope to make some headway. The worst cowards, banded together, have their power, but you and I have got the skill to fight their best.
With that he strode away, a god in the wars of men. So, lots more brutal combat continues. Achaeans are making a comeback. Trojans were up in book 12. Now the Achaeans are making a comeback, which is good for the Achaeans, except it's been this back and forth for 10 years. Deiphobus, the son of Priam, fighting alongside Aeneas, is injured by Idomeneus. And great big Ajax and little bitty Ajax. Mary, you weren't here. Look at my great big Ajax and little bitty Ajax slide.
Oh, I was pointing out my drawing.
Oh, and you got the great drawing there too. Yeah. We're taping, so I can't. Okay, anyway, and so they get some good kills, and Menelaus gets some kills. We don't often see Menelaus do much of anything but whine, but he gets some good kills, and Autolycus scores some sweet kills. Let's hone in on some Menelaus action here. Turn to line 667, excuse me. Page 360. Just beginning of the second little section there. Helenus, it's another prince of Troy. Helenus charged Diepirus, all we know about him is he's an Achaean. Helenus charged Diepirus, cleft the side of his head with a massive Thracian sword, smashed his helmet and knocked it off. It fell to the earth, and an Argive snatched it up as it rolled at soldiers' feet. And the night came blinding down Diepirus' eyes. And anguish seized Menelaus. I do not like saying this. Lord of the war cry. Not cool, Homer. Now, there's only one Lord of the war cry, and that is Diomedes, my main man. And anguish seized Menelaus, Lord of the war cry. He went on the run at the fighting prophet Helenus, all menace, madly shaking his whetted javelin, just as Helenus seized his bow by the hand grip. Both let fly at each other, one launching out with a sharp lance, one a shaft from the spring. And Helenus' arrow hit Atrides Menelaus right on the chest, on the breastplate's curve, but the arrow sprang away. High as the black skin beans and chickpeas bounce and leap from a big bladed shovel. Usually it's lions and stags and volcanoes. He's running out of similes here. Now he's comparing it to beans. High as the black-skinned beans and chickpeas bounce and leap from a big-bladed shovel, flying across the threshing floor, sped by a whistling wind and a winnower's sweeping stroke, so the arrow flew from Atrides' breastplate, the keen shaft glancing, skittering off downfield. This is again. I'm not saying that part. But Menelaus aimed for Helenus' hand, gripping his polished bow, and clean through his fist the bronze spearhead dove and cracked the tensed weapon. Back he fell to his masked companions, dodging death, his hand dangling, dragging the long ashen shaft. And gallant Agenor drew the spear from his hand and bound it up in a band of tightly twisted wool, a sling his aid retained for the good commander. And now Pisander rushed Menelaus, famed in arms, but a grim fate was rushing him to the stroke of death, to be crushed in this hell of war by you, Menelaus. Just as the two men closed, heading into each other, Atrides missed, his spear shaft hooking off to the side. Pisander stabbed his shield, but the bronze could not bore through. The huge hide blocked it. The shaft snapped at the socket. Still the Trojan exulted, wild with hopes of triumph, as Menelaus, drawing his sword with silver studs, leapt at Pisander, who clutched beneath his shield his good bronze axe with its cleaving blade set in a long, smooth olive haft. A clash! Both fighters at one great stroke chopped at each other. Pisander hacked the horn of the horsehair-crested helmet right at its ridge, lunging as Menelaus hacked Pisander between the eyes, the bridge of the nose, and bone cracked, blood sprayed, and both eyes dropped at his feet to mix in the dust. He curled and crashed. Digging a heel in his chest, Menelaus stripped his gear and vaunted out in glory. Hey, get up, you're Menelaus, get up here. It's the only time you ever looked cool in this whole book. Yeah, you got your foot on this dead dude's chest.
Yeah, forget that.
Don't step on his eyes.
Okay. So home you'll run from our tracked racing ships. By God, all as corpses. See, you death-defying Trojans, never sated with shattering war cries are you. Nor do you lack the other brands of outrage. All that shame you heaped on me, you rabid dogs. No fear in your hearts for the quaking rage of Zeus, the thundering god of hosts and welcome stranger. One day he'll raise your lofty city for you.
Then you gotta be real whiny here. Yeah, that's good, Menelaus.
Okay. You Trojans who stole away my wedded wife and hordes of riches too, for no reason. None.
What I ever do to you?
My queen of the realm who hosted you with kindness, and now you rampage on among our deep sea ships. Wild torch our hulls and kill our heroes. Well, you'll be stopped somewhere, mad as you are for combat.
Thank you, Menelaus. Turn to line 742. There Harpalion charged Menelaus, King Pylamene's son, who followed his father into war at Troy. But he never reached his fatherland again. He closed on Atrides, spear stabbing his shield right on the boss, but the bronze could not drive through. So back he drew to his ranks, dodging death, glancing left and right, fearing a lance would graze his flesh. But Meriones caught him in full retreat. He let fly with a bronze-tipped arrow, hitting his right buttock, up under the pelvic bone, so the lance pierced the bladder. He sank on the spot, hunched in his dear companion's arms, gasping out his life as he writhed along the ground, like an earthworm stretched out in death, blood pooling, soaking the dark red earth. Hardy Paphlagonians, working him over, hoisted him onto a chariot, bore him back to the sacred walls of Troy, deep in grief, while his father, weeping freely, walked beside them now. No blood price came his way, not for his son who breathed his last in battle. But Paris, appalling Paris, our prince of beauty, mad for women, you lure them all to their ruin. But Paris flared in rage at his comrade's death, his friend and guest among all the Paphlagonians. That's the easiest word in the world. Paphlagonians, incensed, he let loose with a bronze-tipped arrow aimed at one Euchenor, son of the prophet Polydius, a decent, wealthy man who made his home in Corinth. Well, Euchenor knew that boarding the ships for Troy meant certain death. His father told him so. Time and again, the strong old prophet said he'd die in his own halls of a fatal plague, or go with the ships and die at Trojan hands. So off Euchenor sailed, both to save his wealth from the heavy fine the Argives made deserters pay, and himself from wasting illness. No slow plague for him. Suddenly Paris struck him under the jaw and ear, and life flew from his limbs, and the hateful darkness had him in its grip. The rest fought on like a mass of whirling fire. But Hector, dear to Zeus, had no idea. Hector heard nothing of how his men left of the ships were torn and mauled in the Argives' tough response. This is a big battlefield. There's no scale, so I'm stupid for trying to tell you how big the battlefield is. But Hector's got no idea. Hector still thinks everything's going great. We're winning. He has no idea that, no, you're not. Poseidon's in the game, and the Greeks are now eating Trojans alive. Hector had no idea. Hector heard nothing of how his men left to the ships were torn and mauled in the Argives' rough response. The glory might even have gone to them at any moment. So intent was the god who grips and shakes the earth. As he surged his Argives on, the god surged too, adding his own immortal force in their defense. But Hector kept driving on too. Just at the point where he first broke through the gates and wall, he charged. He smashed the Achaean lines, dense with armed ships, where Protesilaus and giant Ajax's ships lay hauled up in the breaking, churning surf, and the wall to landward dipped low to the ground, the weakest point where the fiercest fighting raged, waves of Trojans. Trojan horse in assault. Ooh, foreshadowing. So, what's going to happen now, Hector's finally made it to the ships. All right? All you got to do, start lighting them on fire. And Polydamas, he's a sort of a, he's not a B-lister Trojan, he's like a B-plus lister Trojan. Does Hector, they're here. All right, they're here. And Polydamas says, we got to go home. No good, we got to go home right now. What are you talking about, man? We're here. Why does Polydamas want to turn around right now? Oh, good, interruptions. I will thank you for you. Welcome. Come on. You'll be totally lost for a couple minutes, but we'll talk at the end of class. Okay? Just have a seat anywhere you'd like. So, they're here. They're where they want to be. And Polydamas says, no, you got to turn around, you got to go home. Why? Why does Polydamas want to go home so bad? Who remembers? It's from yesterday. It's from book 12. Yeah. Yeah, say more about that. Tell the story again.
They're like really superstitious about like the hawks and birds and all that jazz. And one flies over with a bloody snake or something, and the snake bites the hawk and drops the snake in front of the.
That's it. So the Greeks are, she hit the nail on the head. They're totally superstitious. You know, they think all sorts of things are omens, and they especially think that birds are omens because they're in the sky, you know, and logic. So remember what Polydamas saw? He saw this eagle, caught him a bloody snake, just like the Trojans, have caught them the bloody Greeks. And what's the snake do? Head up, leaps while still in the eagle's mouth, head pops up, bites the eagle, snake's poison, the eagle dies. Snake gets away. Polydamas says, we are the snake. No. We are the eagle. We are the eagle. So before the snake pops back up and bites us and kills us, we gotta go home. The boat. I mean, it's right there. This is the boat. All I gotta do is light it on fire. But he gives in. He gives in. The Greeks aren't the only ones who are superstitious. So what he's got to do now is he's got to run all the way back through this mess, through this battle, and he's got to find his friends. Many of the people he's searching for at this moment, we just watched them die brutally. So Hector's run back to Troy up this hill. He's not having a good day. Let's jump to line 871. And out like a flashing snow-capped peak he moved, shouting, sweeping on through his ranks and Trojan allies. Squads of others swarmed and rallied around Polydamas. Penthus' friendly son. They'd heard Hector's orders. But Hector ranged the front to find his leaders. Hunting day Phobos and the rugged warlord Helenus. Adamus, Aeseus' son, and Aeseus' son of Hyrtacus. Where could he find them now? Find them he did. No longer free of wounds, unhurt, not at all. Adamus, Aeseus, both sprawled at Achaea's sterns, dead at the Argives' hands. The others at home behind the walls were gouged by shaft or sword. But he quickly found one more on the left flank of the heart-wrenching carnage. Royal Paris. Appalling Paris, our prince of beauty, mad for women, he lures them all to their ruin. Royal Paris, fair-haired Helen's consort, was rousing comrades, driving them back to battle. Once he gained his side, Hector raked his brother with insults. I love when Hector, he's about to actually say it. I didn't even remember that. He's about to actually say the thing. Who gets to be Hector today? Who's Hector? Oh, good choice. Good choice. Insults. Once he gained his side, Hector raked his brother with insults, steaming taunts.
Paris, appalling Paris, our prince of beauty, mad for women, you lure them all to the ruin. Where's Phobos, Helenus' rugged warlord, Adamus, Aeseus' son, and Aeseus' son Hyrtacus? Where's Otheronius? Tell me. Now all towering Troy is ruined top to bottom. Now one thing's certain, your headlong death.
And Paris, magnificent as a god, replied,
Hector, bent on faulting a man without a fault. At other times I might have shrunk from the fighting, true, but not today. Mother bore me, even me, not to be a coward through and through. Think, since you fired our comrades' fury against the ships, from that hour we've held our ground right here, taking the Argives on, and non-stop, no rest. Our comrades are dead, Hector, those you inquire about with such concern. Only Phobos and the rugged warlord Helenus have made it back alive, wounded with sturdy spears, both in the hand too, but Zeus beat off their deaths. Now lead the way, wherever your fighting spirit bids you. All of us right behind you, hearts intent on battle. Nor do I think you'll find us short on courage, long as our strength will last. Past his strength no man can go, though he's set on mortal combat.
That brought his brother's warrior spirit around. On they went where the thickest fighting broke, churning round Cebriones, dauntless Polydamas, Phalces, Orthaeus, and veteran Polyphides, Palmus, Hippotion's two sons, Ascanius and Morus. They're there, in case you're wondering where Ascanius and Morus were. Fresh reserves just come from Ascania's fertile soil. Where do most of these names come from? Where are the names of all the G-lister characters? They were probably at a live performance that Homer gave, and he saw people in the crowd and just used their names. Just last morning, but now great Zeus incited all-out war. Down the Trojans came like a squall of brawling gale winds, blasting down with the Father's thunder, loosed on earth, and a superhuman uproar bursts as they pound the heavy seas. The giant breakers seething, battle lines of them roaring, Shoulders rearing, exploding foam, waves in the vanguard, waves rolling in from the rear. So on the Trojans came, waves in the vanguard. Am I going in circles? Waves in the vanguard, waves from the rear, closing. Bronze men glittering, following captains, closing, and Hector led the way, a match for murderous Ares. Priam's son holding his balanced shield before him, tough with ox hides, studded thick with bronze, and round his temples the flashing helmet shook. He plowed forward, testing enemy lines at all points to see if they'd crack before him, charging under his shield. But he could not overpower the Argives' stiff resolve, and Ajax hulking forward with big strides, the first to challenge Hector. So this is going to be a little bit, no, this is big Ajax.
Madman, here, come closer to challenge Hector. Oh, wait, hold up. Madman, here, come closer, trying to frighten the Argives. Why waste your breath? No, it's not that we lack the skill in battle. It's just a brutal lash of Zeus that beats us down. Your hopes soar. I suppose to gut and crush our ships. Well, we have strong arms too, arms to defend those ships. And long before that, your city packed with people will fall beneath our hands, plundered to rubble. And you, I say, the day draws near when off you run and pray to Father Zeus and the other deathless gods to make your full-maned horses swifter than hawks, whipping dust from the plain to sweep you back to Troy.
Clear on the right of, Mekhi, stay standing. Clear on the right, a bird winged past to seal those words. A soaring eagle swooping, spirits high with the sign. The Argive armies cheered. Cheer. This is a high-class production. Cheer. C minus. But bent on glory, Hector answered the giant Ajax, taunt for taunt.
Enough of your blustering threats, you clumsy ox. What loose talk, what rant. I wish I were as surely the son of storming Zeus for all my days, and noble Hera gave me birth, and I were prized as they prize Athena and Apollo, as surely as this day will bring your Argives death, down to the last man, and you will die with the rest. If you have the daring to stand against my heavy spear, its point will rip your soft, warm skin to shreds. Then you'll glut the dogs and birds of Troy with your fattened flesh, cut down by beaked ships.
And loosing a savage yell.
What? Hector led the way.
No! Savage yell! Not
Oh,
Hector.
savage yell! Roar!
That was more bougie or classy or ratchet.
Yeah.
It was less savage. See what I did there? Do you see what I did there? That is why I make the big social studies money. And loosing a savage yell, Hector led the way, and his captains followed close with unearthly cries, and Trojan ranks behind them crying shrill. But facing them, the Achaean ranks cried back, not forgetting their courage, raced hard for assault, as the Trojans' bravest charged and roared from both. As the Trojans' bravest charged and roars from both armies struck the high clear skies, the lightning world of Zeus. That, my friends, is book 13. Book